Hi there, everybody. We are moving on to the third, I think, live stream as part of Yarn Academy. I've had some lovely feedback from folk in the group about the rebranding and the name. I feel that Yarn Academy represents where I want to go and what I want to do to help you guys far more than behind the business. That just seemed like very much of a mouthful. So Yarn Academy, I think, says it in a shorter, more succinct way. So what I am going to be talking about today was requested by Beth Higgins. I have, as always, my scribbled notes here, so I will sort of be darting around the screen and looking in various places to see what I'm supposed to be talking about next, just so that I stay a little bit focused rather than just rambling away. There are a whole host of new posts coming up. There is a post each day to hopefully help you spread some information about yourselves, share colleagues that you admire. Hey, Karen, you made it live. Excellent. So hopefully you'll be able to share both within the Yarn Academy group on Facebook, but also in the Instagram stream. You can start sharing some tags and hopefully grow some more audience for each other. So that would be excellent if you would like to take part in that, particularly on a Friday. Tomorrow is Shameless Saturday, so you'll have the opportunity to promote yourself. Make sure that it stays inside the thread. Otherwise it will be deleted, which will be a shame. So keep any shares, any promotions within that thread, and it'll be a very obvious graphic. It'll be going up at 9 o'clock my time, so it should definitely be there for all you folk in the States by the time you wake up ready to use it. So yes, if you've got a new pattern, a new release, a new colourway, anything and everything that you want to promote, go for it in that thread. That is your opportunity to shout yourselves to the high heavens. Sunday is fun day, and that's a day when we can hopefully, in theory, take some time out to relax for ourselves, our families, and partake in a little bit of self-care to avoid burnout. So share what you're doing. How are you looking after yourself? Are you failing to look after yourself and you need some suggestions? Is everything getting on top of you and you need some help from some of your other team members in the Yarn Academy group? Then pop it in there, and we'll give you some support, love and hugs and so forth. If you can hear strange noises in the background, Sophie is having a funny 5 minutes. She's had her lunch and now she's full of beans. So I have no idea quite where she's going to end up. But she may well leap into me at some point, or she might just make all sorts of noises in the background throughout the entire time. She's rolling around with some packaging at the moment, and probably something that she's not meant to have. So this week we're going to be talking about postage and whether you should be including postage in the price for your products or not. Sorry, I'm going to grab a drink this time. I keep getting very dry mouth while I'm doing this. It's very different to do a live post than it is to record a video. I'm so used to recording videos, but live post seems very different. So yes, we're talking about postage and whether to include the cost of postage in the items that you're selling. I like to sell PDFs, and then I don't even need to think about it. So PDF patterns as against printed patterns, courses as against printed books. I am having to move towards posting out physical things. I sell stitch markers, I post out bonus goodies, and I run giveaways and post things out for those. But that's not quite the same as deciding whether you're going to include that in the cost for a physical item that you sell. So if you sell stitch markers all the time, or you sell yarn all the time, or you sell a completed jumper or a shawl or blankets, then obviously the thought about whether to include the cost of postage is very different. So I'm going to run through some of the things that you need to think about before you make that decision. It is more complicated than saying everyone should do this or everyone should do that. It's not that simple, which is why I suspect we had the question in the first place. So I've got a little checklist of things that you need to think about, and then hopefully you'll be able to make a decision about whether you want to include for some of your products or all of your products or none of your products the postage cost. So we'll start off, and you need to think about the destinations. Where are you willing to send your lovely goodies to? If it's worldwide, then immediately the cost of sending something to a neighbouring state or a neighbouring town is very, very different to sending something to the other side of the planet. It doesn't necessarily mean it becomes impossible to do, depending on the size of the product, but it is something that needs to be looked into. Some people will only ship in the country in which they live, which is fine. That simplifies that whole process. Other people ship worldwide. So you do definitely need to look into the costs of shipping worldwide, and there's usually 3 zones. Your local area, for me, there's within the UK, then there's within Europe, and then there's worldwide. So you need to just have a look at what zones apply to you, and then make a note of that so you can come back to it and start thinking about things from a position of knowledge, as against, oh, I'd like to do this because it would be lovely. Saying you want to give everybody your postage included and then picking a figure of $4 out of the air without actually thinking it through can lead to all sorts of problems and complications for you further down the line. So my advice in this instance, as it always is make a decision from a position of knowledge. Do research, find out a variety of things, and I'll go through the checklist here. There'll be a checklist for you to download in the article that accompanies this live stream on the website. So the first thing is work out where you're willing to send your goodies to. Then you need to think about how you're going to send them, as in the packing materials. Are you going to be having custom boxes made? Are you going to be using bubble wrap? Are you going to be putting beautiful tissue paper around things? Are you waterproofing your parcel in any way? Which I strongly advise at some point you need to waterproof the contents of your parcel, especially if we're working with yarns, whether that's the outer casing or whether that's a bag inside some other beautiful outer casing. It definitely needs to be waterproofed at some level if you're talking about something that could be damaged by rain. So yes, you need to think about boxes and stickers and labels and wrapping, waterproofing, as I've already said, the costs of delivery, and any cards or inserts that you want to put in. A thank you card, or a money off voucher, or a business card, or I don't know, any kind of insert that you're going to have to pay to make. Then you need to include that as part of your costings for sending out your post. I have some really sweet little boxes that I use. They're called pillow boxes. For my stitch markers, and I can get a whole host of stitch markers into the same box, which is just a teeny tiny little box, and that works fine for me. So you just need to find something that works for you. The quality touches, the things that show that you're taking a personal interest in your customer, will make them much happier to pay a higher price for their postage and packing. Especially when it's listed as something separate. If you've suddenly got this really, really expensive yarn, but you've already bundled in the cost of quite expensive packaging, the customer won't necessarily know that unless you make a very, very specific declaration that this price includes packaging, and here's a sample of what you can expect to receive through your door. They may just think, oh my lord, that's ridiculously expensive. So you do need to think about that. Sometimes a higher cost of postage and packaging with examples of what the customer can expect is far more palatable to a new customer than if they've had experience of somebody just reusing parcels and reusing boxes and reusing an Amazon box and then sending it out to them. Well, that's fine if you're not charging through the nose for it. But if you are charging a reasonable or high fee for postage and packaging, you need to make sure that what you are delivering to your customer shows that you've gone that extra level. There is care and thought and personality that's gone into that packaging. And yeah, it's nice to include a surprise. It could be a little handwritten note, or it could be a little extra something, a snippet or something that will make them feel just that little bit special. Hi there, Kamala. Good to see you joined us. The other thing that I spent a lot of time doing when I was finding or sourcing my packaging was finding something that matched my brand values. So I used recycled packaging. You can look for ethically sourced, recycled, or if that's not part of your core business message, then you don't need to worry about that. You can just find something that works to match. If you are all blinged out, then go for packaging that matches the look and feel of what you provide. My packaging is teal and it is recycled. And it took me a long time to find it, but I'm really, really happy that I found it. And I think when it arrives at the customer's house, it's nice. It's a parcel that somebody likes to receive. So that's specific to my stitch markers. Other parcels that are larger, I still haven't really found what I'm looking for yet, and I'm still experimenting. So that'll take me a while to find exactly what I want, so that everything matches the branding. So we've talked about the packaging materials, where you're sending it to, the little personal touches that can make a difference, and how you source the products that you're using for your packaging. But then you need to think about the costs, the time scales, and the paperwork that are associated with posting your goodies out there. The majority of the people that I post to are outside of the EU, and therefore I have to fill in little customs slips every time, which means that my parcels have to be large enough to take a customs slip, and that's about a 3-inch square label, which, considering that my original packaging was tiny, was a little bit frustrating, because then I have to put this beautiful packaging inside a big plastic envelope so that I can stick the customs label on the outside. So whilst it's not immediately beautiful, when they open it up, it is still nice and lovely. But yes, you do need to think about the variable costs. So if you've got 1 skein of yarn going out versus 5 skeins of yarn going out, that's 100 grams versus 500 grams. There may well be a price change that you need to be aware of. So think about that level of information as well. And also the timescales for delivery. I always get really twitchy when I'm sending stuff out to the other side of the planet, and it generally arrives within 5 to 10 days. But it can't really get any more accurate than that. So I would make people aware that that's how long they would need to be waiting for a parcel to be delivered. If it's something being sent in the UK, people expect it next day. They want next day delivery because they know that I'm based in the UK. So if I was to say next day delivery on everything, then obviously the guys in the States are going to be very, very disappointed and very, very angry with me. So you just need to make sure that you're taking all of these items into account when you're thinking about your packaging. And hopefully now you can understand why I'm saying this is such a complex issue. It doesn't need to be, as long as you do your research thoroughly once. Once you've done that and you know the size and the possibilities, then you can start to mix and match what you've got against what you might be selling and the values and costs and so forth. Hi there, Petra. It's good to see you. Welcome. And I would also say go for a postal service that is reliable, not a postal service that is cheap. We have some very cheap couriers in the UK, and you can put huge parcels for very, very low cost through their system, but what you end up with is parcels being thrown over walls, and parcels that are crushed, and parcels that are just horrible to receive, and you've no way of knowing what the inside of that parcel will look like by the time it arrives at your customer's destination. So definitely go for, hi there, definitely go for a reliable service, a service which offers tracking and signing and insurance. I can send a parcel out for £10 and then worry about it for the next 2 weeks because I haven't bothered to put tracking or signing into the price. And for the little bit extra that would cost me, it's worth the aggravation and the nerves and the worry that I know that it can be tracked and I know that it's arrived, as against me going out to people and saying, please let me know when it arrives, please share a photo that you've got your parcel. I know it's arrived because I get an email that tells me that because somebody signed for it. I can track where it is halfway across the planet, and it just makes me feel a lot calmer, as against sitting there nervously waiting for somebody to tell me that a shawl and a pair of gloves have actually arrived in time for the photo shoot. It's like, ah! So yeah, you really, for peace of mind, if you can afford it, always go for the insurance and the tracking and the signing. You can send enormous great items if you're working with blankets or if you're creating huge coats. Then you could go for a very slow delivery, like 3 or 4 weeks or maybe longer, but there will be no tracking, there will be very little insurance, and you're not going to have peace of mind for the entire time until somebody comes back and tells you that that parcel has arrived. So I personally would not go for the cheap and slow. It's not even cheap and cheerful, it's cheap and stressful. So I wouldn't go for that whatsoever. As in anything else to do with business, go for the best quality that you can afford to pay for. Hello, baby. So, you're going to sit on the book now, are you? So, yes, I strongly advise that you always go for the best quality of service that you can afford. You will definitely need, as I've already touched on, to take into account the size and the weight of multiple orders. If somebody is ordering through your shop or through Etsy or through Facebook or Instagram, you need to take into account the final size and bulk of that item. Because one skein of yarn can be squished down and put into a smaller envelope. But 5 balls of yarn, if somebody's got a large project coming up, that's not going to work. And if you're selling other things or completed items and somebody wants 2 blankets rather than 1, unless you've worked that out, unless you've thought about it properly, then that can really bite you on the bum. And it will not make your customer like you anymore. And you won't like your customer if you have to take that on the chin and just it costs you an absolute fortune. For me, I love a PDF download. I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to charge any kind of fee, and it's kind of cheating. But as I say, I'm moving away from PDFs and I'm still running online courses, obviously, but I am starting to branch out into physical products. And I think the final thing that I want to say is free shipping. Whether you decide to do it or not, you can always use free shipping as a sales tactic, as a sale offer, on sale offer. But that only works if you have previously charged for shipping. If you've always included shipping in the cost of your item, then you can't offer free shipping as an incentive to buy for a sale or for a short period, or to drum up some interest, to create that feeling of scarcity. So, we'll have free shipping for the next week or the next 48 hours. If it's always included, that's one less option that you have available to you to drive some additional business to your brand if you need it. And really, once you've got the answers to all those questions, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's about 10 things you need to think about. And I'm sure that there are others which may be triggered in the process of going through this list. Then you can start to make a decision on, do I want to include shipping in the cost of the item? I personally don't. I like the ability to offer it as a discount. I like the ability to be able to mix and match my levels and bands of postage depending on weight and where it's going. because a lot of my customers are in Australia and Japan and America. They are worldwide. I send far more stuff outside of the EU than I send within the EU. So for me, having that flexibility is really key. But if you let me know what if any of these items have caused you to have an aha moment, or if there's something in there that you think I've missed, then please let me know, let the others know, and I'll make sure to include that in the write-up article, the blog post. Oh, I'm being pushed now. In the blog post associated with this live stream, and I can make sure that if I have missed something, then it gets picked up. Haha, yes, Karen. Hopefully it does make sense what I'm saying, and oh, she's off again. And it sounds like it's a simple thing. I'll just shove all my shipping into my main price of the item, but there are many reasons why that may not be wise for you to do. And so hopefully that sort of sums up where we are with the shipping. And one last thing that I wanted to mention, I don't know whether you'll have seen the post, because I've been posting a lot in the Yarn Academy group today and yesterday. I am looking for some sample photographs of your patterns or of your yarns or colourways that can be included in the header for Yarn Academy. If at all possible, I would love to stick with the sort of burgundy and teal colourways. Blacks, greys, whites and creams would also work very, very nicely. And I'd like to be showcasing some of your work and some of your products up there. So if you are interested in that, then please drop me a PM through Facebook with a photograph of the yarn or the pattern in question, along with a copy of your logo, whatever logo you have, or your name. Right, I'm just going to have to move or see if I can find this on my screen, because the way that I've got my phone set up, I can't actually see the comments. They're being completely obliterated. So I will try and find this. Bear with me one moment. Oh, technology. Okay, let's have a look. So Petra, I've done free shipping as an incentive when I reached 100 followers on Facebook and got 5 orders. Yes, within a few hours. That is brilliant. I love using that kind of incentive. It really can make a difference. If people know that cost is always there and then suddenly it's not, that may be the kick that they need just to be able to go and purchase your items. So yes, that's excellent. Karen, I've kept my shipping separate as well for many of the same reasons you've mentioned. Also, I'd have to worry less about unexpected changes in restrictions. That's a good point that I haven't mentioned. I would like to say that I don't want to mention Trump, but there are sanctions that are changing, it seems, on quite a frequent basis for people who are shipping out of the US. I mean, I've got sanctions that apply for people that we ship to from the UK. So that is something that needs to be considered. Are you allowed to send your product to XYZ country? So just if you're going somewhere a little bit more unusual, then have a quick check that you're not actually going to be breaking any federal laws by posting out to that country. So check on the website for your normal delivery service. So UPS in the States would have that information. Royal Mail for us would have that information, and I wish I knew more countries' postal services, but unfortunately I don't. but the equivalents in different regions and different countries will be able to tell you if there are any sanctions, if there are any locations you're not allowed to sell to or ship to. So that is something else that you do need to just keep a little bit of an eye on. And yes, Karen, technology is a blessing and a curse. This week it has been wonderful for me, but it has also let me down a couple of times. So let's see, are there any other comments? I think that's it for now. So I shall finish off this for today, and I look forward to hearing about any feedback that you have, any suggestions or comments that you have around postage and shipping fees, and also oh no, my brain's gone. See, I haven't had lunch yet. That's the thing. I'm also looking forward to having lunch. Yes, on Tuesday I will be posting, as I'm now sticking to my days of the week, my proper days of the week. I'll be posting up on Tuesday the invitation to submit some topics for the following Friday. So we've got Manic Monday on Monday, then we've got the Tuesday question about what is it that you actually want to talk about. Wednesday we've got the Hump Day update, and Thursday is Techie Thursday. So those graphics are now in place, so I'll be able to start incorporating those into the group. So hopefully we can start sharing and learning from each other a little bit more as we move forward. And it's lovely to see that the group is growing. I've got somebody else sitting there, waiting to join the group. So as soon as I get off this call or off this live stream, I'll be inviting them in. So please start introducing yourselves, even if you do already know each other from other groups, but just drop a little intro about yourselves, and let's start having some conversations, some real conversations, and I look forward to seeing everybody. Bye for now.